Horizontal. Some videographers use smartphones to take portrait shots of themselves or others with the phone in a vertical orientation, meaning they hold the phone in the up and down position as they record. Though the footage will look fine on the phone, when displayed on any other device, the video will display with black bars on either side. The problem is that virtually every display device there is has a landscape orientation. You should shoot with the phone held in the horizontal position, such that the footage will appear like it fits the widescreen frame of any device that the footage is displayed on. Rule of thirds. The rule of thirds is a popular photographic principle, which, if used correctly, can make your image or video look more cinematic. Some smartphones have a feature built in which makes it easier to capture an image according to the rule of thirds. The feature involves the ability to turn on a set of grid lines and to use these grid lines to divide the frame up into thirds. The lines show up both horizontally and vertically, and they divide the image into 9 squares. The photographer then uses the guiding lines to frame the scene. Objects or subjects are placed at points of intersection or along these lines, and a more professional-looking image should result. The rule of thirds is most easily visible when actors are placed on the left side of the screen or on the right, rather than at the center. Lighting. The key to filming a professional video lies with the lighting. Lighting happens to be the most underestimated task in the production process. But in reality, filming with good lighting setups can lead to the creation of videos that look like cinematic masterpieces. Lighting isn't only used to brighten the scene, but it can also be used to accentuate certain details in the frame, expose the background for the creation of some depth, and to create the desired atmosphere and mood. When lighting a scene, you want to make sure there is sufficient brightness so that the camera does not expose a grainy image. You need to check the exposure level on the foreground, but also on the background, where the grain may start to appear. You want to emphasize certain sections with shadows and other sections with light. Sometimes, inexperienced lighting designers remove all the shadows and light everything, and this is usually a mistake. One can also light a subject from the rear, which will make the subject stand out or pop from the frame, therefore creating some cinematic depth. At the same time, you don't want the camera-facing light to throw light into the lens, so to be careful not to film into any lights. Lighting is essential in filmmaking, but it is especially essential in smartphone videography. The smartphone video maker has only a very small image sensor in their phone's camera, and this places some constraints on the cinematic quality of the footage. To enhance the cinematic quality, one needs to color the scene with light in such a way so as to make the footage appear more film-like. When filming outside, there is a lot of available natural light, and this really helps the smartphone to expose scenes properly. However, one has to be careful on very bright days, as strong sunlight can create some harsh shadows. Generally, it is easier to film on cloudy days where the light is partially diffused by the clouds. However, once you gain experience, the sunny days of the summer season can really light certain areas cinematically, so it is good to also attempt to film during such times. Other great times to film are during golden hour. Golden hour happens in the morning or evening when the sun rises or sets, and this is where the low angle of the sun can create really beautiful and cinematic lighting effects. When dealing with the fact that light only comes from one direction when the sun is up, it is best to bring along a lightweight and portable reflector or two, and they can be used to change the angle of light as needed for the production. When filming inside, there is usually less available natural light, so the smartphone generally has a tougher time with the lower light levels. To compensate for the lower light levels, adding powered lights will fix the problem. To light a person, at least 2 lights will be needed. One light will be aimed at the subject, and this will be the main light illuminating the subject. A second light will need to be positioned at 90 degrees to the main light, so as to fill in the shadows that the main light creates. The key is to not remove all the shadows on the subject, but to lessen the harshness and intensity of the shadows, while allowing some shadow-created texture and detail to remain. One thing to be careful of when lighting a person inside a building is the lighting effect or the lack of lighting that can occur around the eye socket. Overhead lights shine directly down and can create some shadows in the eye sockets. Your main light has to be positioned well enough and close enough such that that kind of eyeshadow disappears. Another thing to be careful of are windows. Filming a scene with light that comes from the window in concert with powered lights is referred to as mixed lighting. This can create visible distortions of color temperature within the scene. Balancing the outside light with powered lights such that the scene appears as if it has matching color temperature throughout the image takes some practice. One easy trick is to place a diffusion material over the window or to simply close the curtains to reduce the effect that the exterior light is having on your lighting setup. Then focus on lighting the character with your own lights, and then you won't have to deal with mixed lighting. However, if you want to use the light from the window, attempt to place the subject facing the window rather than facing away from the window. Then make sure you don't film into the window, since that will make the character into a dark silhouette, but film the subject from the side, where the window is not in the shot. Part of the key to filming professionally is to light a scene with professional lights or to be flexible with the nature and type of lights used. By being creative with the lighting process and the technologies used, you can achieve a professional result. You can use many kinds of lights, not just professional studio lights. You'll lose some fine control and a bit of light quality, but with hard work and many hours of lighting, you can pull off a great scene. You can use flashlights, lamps, smartphone lights, and even work lights. You can buy work lights at the local hardware store that have LED light option, or you can buy the older and inexpensive halogen work lights and swap out the hot halogen bulbs for a modern LED bulb. Work lights throw out a lot of light and can be used to create a general light level as well as to light larger areas such as the backgrounds. If you have no budget whatsoever, you can always use the sun and perhaps some tin foil to make a reflector, and this will provide you with greater control.